everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Corin, also known as the Kitten Choreographer. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a teen with a passion for animal rescue and, in particular, kitten rescue. So today's video is going to be a video all about how to keep your bottle baby fosters clean. So this is one of the hardest parts I've found about neonatal kittens that don't have a mom. And that may seem kind of weird because you'd think that feeding and, you know, getting up with the kittens is the hardest thing, but for me, the hardest part is keeping them clean. But I found a really good system over the time that I've been fostering, and I'm going to share that with you today. So, as you know, a mama cat is usually with her kittens before they're old enough to live on their own, and good mama cats do a great job at keeping their kittens clean. They bathe them so they stay clean and they stay fluffy and they don't have any speck of poop or pee or any dirt on them at all. However, I'm an orphan kitten foster, and so my neonatal kittens do not stay that clean, and I have to be the one to clean them. One of the best ways to keep them clean is stay on top of cleaning them. You do not want to wait until they're super dirty to clean them because one, that's not good for their health, and two, it'll be a lot harder to clean them that way. So when you get your kittens, make sure you are working on cleaning them every feeding. With neonatal orphan kittens, you have to stimulate them to use the bathroom using a tissue or something like that because they often can't go on their own. However, when I say they can't go on their own, that doesn't mean they never go on their own. It just means they can't get all of their poop and pee out by themselves. So stimulating is very important to make sure they don't have stuff stuck up in there, but they do sometimes go on their own. Even though I stimulate them every feeding, they do sometimes still pee and poop on their own in their incubator, which I have an incubator right here. I'll go ahead and show these guys here for the next little bit because they are so cute. You can see they kind of know it's feeding time. I kind of went ahead and looked in there already. So they did wake up, and so they're looking around for their food. I'll feed them in just a minute. But for this video, I'm going to show you several ways to stay on top of their hygiene to make sure they're clean and as fluffy as we can get them, even though, in my experience, no person can keep a kitten as clean as their mom, which, you know, that's just part of taking care of orphans and not being the best parent possible because you're not the species that the best parent possible would be. So I'm going to go ahead and get them out now because I know they're hungry, and I'll go ahead and talk about some of the feeding tips with you while I'm feeding them. So this is Shaggy, and Shaggy is one of my kittens that is the hardest to keep clean because he has a white belly, and anytime a kitten has white, especially on their belly where they get the most dirty, it is going to be harder to clean them. That's why it's just really important to keep up with their good hygiene. So I'm going to stimulate him real quick. I use this with tissues, and then I'll show you my first cleaning tip. So to keep up with their hygiene well, you're going to need baby wipes, a lot of them. And I use the Huggies wipes. I'll link those in the description below as well. They're unscented, and I found they work really well for the purpose that I use them for, which is to clean baby kittens. So I take a Huggies baby wipe, and after every stimulation that I do, I just rub it all over the kitten, trying to get them as clean as I can with this baby wipe. The baby wipes do help a lot, but they do not clean everything. So I do have to give my kittens baths every few days to keep them as clean and fluffy as possible. You can see he's a little wet now because I was just cleaning him. Another thing I'll suggest is when you stimulate a kitten, if they're healthy, every time they're gonna pee. And they're only gonna poop once a day or so. Some kittens are a couple times a day, some kittens are every other day. It kind of depends. But I'd say that once a day is a standard average. I've noticed that when kittens poop and you use a tissue, it's going to be a lot harder to clean them afterwards with a baby wipe if you've kind of rubbed the poop all over them, which if it's a perfect poop, that won't necessarily be a problem, but if you're rubbing, there's still going to be a little bit of smearing that's going to be a little harder to get off. The next one I'm going to feed is Fred, and I'm going to start by stimulating him. So as soon as I notice they're pooping when they're stimulating, I switch to a baby wipe. And using the baby wipe immediately on the poop does seem to help to clean it and get it off better. This does go through more baby wipes than you would otherwise, but I think it's worth it to keep them clean a bit better. This isn't something anyone told me, and I'm not sure if anyone else has thought to do this before. This is just something that I do myself that I've noticed has helped. And I actually only implemented this within the last few litters, so it's a relatively new thing for me. So I do see that Fred is pooping, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to a baby wipe. However, I have noticed that no matter how many baby wipes you use, no matter how often you use it, these kittens are still going to be a little dirty. They're still going to not have the super softest, most clean fur ever, because the baby wipes are helpful, but they're not magical, unfortunately. So in just a few minutes, after I feed all these guys, I'm going to show you how I give them butt baths to keep them as clean as they can be. Another cleaning tip is to make sure you're always wiping their faces to get any milk mustache off, because you don't want it to get all crusty where it's gonna, rip off their fur, and that's not gonna be a good thing. Look at this sweet boy. This is Velma that I'm feeding now, but as I was mentioning just a few minutes ago, some kittens do pee and poop a little bit outside when you stimulate them in their incubator or other space. And because of this, and because, they don't have a litter box or anything, they're just kind of going wherever, I do change out their blankets every day for when they're super little. This can be a nuisance, but I just like to keep extra sanitary, and I just want to make sure that these kittens have the cleanest and coziest space possible. That's why I have a ton of extra blankets on hand, so that I don't run out when I do the laundry a ton. This is Scooby, and the last kitten I'm going to feed on camera. I do have Daphne, but I'll feed her in a second, because I do want to go ahead and move on in just a second to giving them their baths. So I don't do this as often. I do the baby wipes every feeding, the blankets every day, and then I do the butt baths, as I call them, every few days, just whenever I think it's necessary. Now, I do always do these sooner rather than later, but I don't like to do them a ton because they're not necessarily great for the kittens' warmth and stuff. But I do still find it super important because I don't want them to get super crusty and for them to develop any infection because of any not good, not clean stuff on them. And as long as you do the baths quickly and then get them right back on a heat source, it's not too big of a deal. So now I'm going to show you how I give them their butt baths. Before I grab a kitten, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the supplies that you need. So the first thing you're going to need is a non-scented baby shampoo. I prefer the Honest one, and I will go ahead and link that in the description below. I like this brand because it's cruelty-free, but also because it has a pump, and I didn't know how much I needed this until I had it, because before I had a different brand where you kind of had to tip it upside down and shake it to get any product out, and that's actually really hard when you're holding a kitten in one hand to then tip it over and get the product where you need it to be. But with a pump, you can literally just pump it with one hand. It's super easy and it's super convenient, so I love that baby shampoo for that reason. You're also going to need some towels, which I have behind my camera. You're obviously going to need water. You're going to need warm water, not lukewarm, not hot, warm. And you aren't going to want to spend too long in the bath. This is because kittens can't regulate their own temperatures when they're this young, and this is going to make them cold. But if you use warm water and get them right back on a heat source, it's going to be okay. I also recommend a hair dryer to dry off the kittens right after they're done with their bath and before they go back on their heat source. On the hair dryer, you're going to want to use the warm setting, low power, and you're going to want to hold the hair dryer pretty far away from the kitten. And this is going to get them dry enough to not make them super cold once they're on their heat source. I personally don't use the hairdryer because I have an incubator, but I'm going to show what it's like to use the hairdryer for one kitten because I understand that most people don't have an incubator. The incubator works better than just a normal heat source because it's all around the kitten and it's 80 degrees, so it's nice and cozy, and they're going to dry off really quickly under the incubator, or in the incubator, sorry. But like I said, I will show this for one kitten because I understand that most people don't have that, and this is going to be their best option for before they put them on an electric heat pad made for cats or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the temperature ready. With kittens, you don't want to be turning the water on and off. I know it's better environmentally to do that, but it's really hard to get the water temperature right a lot of the time. So I'm just going to get it on the right temperature and then leave it for all the kittens, but I'm going to try and do this fast. I'm probably going to walk you through a couple of the baths and then just kind of speed them up. So I'm going to get the water running. Okay, so this water temperature is good. Now I'm gonna go grab a kitten. So I have Scooby-Doo here, and I'm just gonna make sure the water temperature is still good, which it wasn't quite good, so I'm glad I checked that. Gonna make it a little cooler. Okay, so this is good. Now I'm just gonna kind of get her butt wet. For this type of bath, I don't need to bathe all of her. I'm just gonna bathe kind of her belly and her lower half because this is the part that is harder to keep clean. Her back up here and her front arms are a lot easier to keep clean because it's just where she pees that it gets harder. Just gonna put a little tiny dollop of soap here. I got too much, so I'm gonna wipe some of it off. And I'm just going to wipe her here. I want to make this a really quick process. I'm just kind of gonna wipe around, get her sudsed up a bit, and then I'm just gonna rinse her right off and quickly plug in the hairdryer to get her dried off. I'm gonna dry her off with a towel first. I'm going to hold her right here with one hand, and with the other hand, I'm going to turn it on. And I'm just going to dry her off, making sure the hairdryer, it'll probably be out of frame because of how far away it's going to be. Quick demonstration of how to use a hairdryer. Because it's easier for me to just put them in the incubator, that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of them. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to get another kitten. So this is Fred. I'm going to double check the water again. It's good. And I'm just going to do the same quick thing. Get his backside wet real quick. Little touch of soap. You don't need much for these butt baths. I'm just going to suds him up, focusing on his bottom half. And I've really noticed these quick little baths are the best way to get them really that clean, fluffy look that the mama cats have. Or at least it's the best way for us foster parents that take care of orphans to achieve that fluffy, clean look. The mama cats are obviously the best, but that's not an option in a lot of cases, so that's why I'm showing you how I do this. Just gonna dry him off and take him back to the incubator. Now let's go grab the next baby. It's with white kittens that it's kind of the easiest to tell that they're not always that clean. You can see their fur looks a little bit off-white before I clean it, just because it's so hard when they're peeing on themselves to keep them totally clean. But like I said, that's why I do these quick little butt baths. And when I'm not talking, these little butt baths take like 30 seconds max to do for these little babies. I'm going to go ahead and speed through these last two baths, and I'll be back in just a minute. So that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope these little tips will help you keep your neonatal orphan kittens clean as you take care of them in place of their mama. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure to like it and subscribe for more kitten-related content. I upload on Sundays and on Wednesdays if I can, and if I can't, then I upload whenever I am able to. Also, please make sure to leave any thoughts or questions that you have down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching again, and goodbye!